There's a point in your work as a practitioner where you start to realize something. It's not that technique isn't important. It's that technique is not what determines the outcome of the session. Because you can use the right technique, but you can use it at the wrong time and it's not going in. And you can use something very simple at the right moment and it creates the shift that's going to hold. See, most practitioners are trained to focus on what to say and what to do, what technique to apply. And again, that's part of learning. But over time, you begin to notice something that two practitioners use the same exact approach and get completely different results. And the difference is not the technique, it's the timing. Because the nervous system is not responding to what you do, it's responding to when you do it and what state it's in when you do it. Now let's look at what happens when timing is off. This might look like asking a powerful question just too early on in the session, or guiding into emotion before their system is actually ready, or introducing a new technique when the client isn't fully present, or trying to deepen when the system is actually shutting down. And when this happens, the work doesn't land. So, from the client's perspective, this can feel like being pulled into something that they're not ready for, or losing connection with themselves, feeling confused or overwhelmed, or even subtly resisting the process. Now, I had worked with a client who had done a lot of prior work. They were very aware and very open to going deep. And in one session, I could feel that we were approaching something important, and it would have been very easy to guide them further, to ask the next question, to take them deeper. But something in their system wasn't fully ready. And if I had moved forward at that moment, I would have pushed them past capacity. Instead, I slowed it down and we stayed right at the edge. And what happened next was not dramatic, but it was real. Something settled, something completed, and it did it without force. Now let's look at the opposite when timing is aligned. Signs of right timing are this: the client is present, their system is open, there's a natural readiness, the moment feels available. And when you introduce something here, even something simple, it goes in because the system is not being pushed, it's being met. And I had a client in a session who was sitting in a very quiet moment. There was no big emotion, no dramatic story, just presence. And in that moment, I asked one simple question and it opened something completely. Not because the question was anything special, but because the system was ready. And this is where practitioners often get it backwards. They focus on finding the right question instead of recognizing the right moment. See, technique without timing becomes mechanical. It becomes something that you're applying instead of something that's emerging naturally in a session. And this is where you might notice yourself thinking ahead, planning your next move, trying to get somewhere in the session. And when that happens, you're no longer fully with the client because real work doesn't come from applying something, it comes from responding to what's actually happening. So when you bring all this together, you start to see that technique matters, but timing determines whether that technique is going to work or not. And this is where your role changes. You're no longer leading the session or directing the outcome or trying to make something happen. You're observing, you're tracking, you're waiting, and you're responding. And this can feel uncomfortable at first because it requires patience, restraint, trust, trusting in the process instead of constant action. So here's something to begin working with. In your next session, before you say anything, just pause and ask yourself, is this the right moment? Not what should I say? You can even practice this in real time. Just wait one extra breath, allow one extra moment, and let that silence be the place where you observe before responding. Just notice what changes, because often what you're about to say is not what's needed at that time. What's needed only becomes clear when you wait. So timing becomes less about doing and more about not interrupting what's already happening. And when you connect this to everything else, reading the system, recognizing thresholds, avoiding over processing, you begin to see that timing is what brings it all together. Because at a certain level, you're not working from technique anymore. You're working from awareness, presence, and atonement. And this is where the work becomes very different, simpler on the surface, but far more effective because you're no longer trying to create change. You're recognizing when the system is ready for the change. And this is something that I go much deeper into in my book, From Survival to Coherence. It is the core part of all the training in my school, Bridgettini Energy School. I'll leave that link down below because understanding timing is one of the most important shifts in advanced practitioner work.